Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well today. Let me get our slideshow up. Can everyone see my screen? We'll assume that is a yes. So we'll start off today. Welcome everyone to our Decisions Daily Lunch and Learn for December 20th, 2023. I am Andrew Las Marias from the professional service team, and I will be conducting our lunch and learn today. Before we get into that, into any questions that we might already have go over a few slides today. Again, I'm sure everyone's kind of seen this so far. If you are still on V6, the decisions end of life support is now concluded with V6. So if you still are on V6, please reach out to your customer success manager or submit a support ticket so we could help you upgrade to our latest versions. And then tomorrow, we actually have a product roadmap biweekly meeting or presentation. So please join us tomorrow if you're available to kind of talk with our product team and kind of see what is on the roadmap for decisions. And then again, there is a registration page here. We'll post a link. So if you are joining, you'll be able to have that link as well. Great. So I know so far we have one pre-submitted question, and I believe that is from Mansoor. You here today? You are. Let me see if I can give you access to communicate. There we go.
Got it for him.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, Mansoor. So you have a question that came in today. The question was around, is there any way to take out the forgot password from the login page? Is this still an issue on your end right now?
Yes, that is correct. Thank you.
Awesome. So there, if you go to the decisions portal and in Studio, in the settings, so if I go to system and we go to settings, we go down to portal settings, and then scroll down a bit. You could actually search it, but I believe it's close to the top. You'll see login. And then in this section, if you scroll down a bit, there is an option for hide forgot password link. So if you just select this and save, that should not be available on the login screen anymore.
And then you just went under the login page settings, right?
Correct. So system settings, portal settings, and then honestly, if you just look up password, you'll be able to see under login page settings, hide forgot password link.
Okay.
And what I will do as well is post this document in our chat. So this is a document for customizing the login page. And a little further down, bullet 4, you'll be able to see that setting here. I also want to mention as well is if you want to kind of expand on some of the issues that you're seeing, you are able to kind of tailor this password reset flow for your needs. I'm not sure what those are yet, but this might also be a document that might be worth going over, kind of showing you what you could do with that forgot password link.
Okay, gotcha. We just were having issue where like people were just we get like everybody gets a regular username and password which is used in every website, and since they were changing it, they were not able to log in and back into Decisions because I think our Active Directory and that settings were messing up because they're like, oh, which one should I use? So if I hide
Got it.
that, I think that would fix all the issues. Then thank you so much.
Awesome. No problem. Looks like we have a few questions in our chat as well. See the first one, Nancy. Ian, if you could give Nancy. There you go. Thank you. Hi, Nancy.
Hi there.
So it looks like you have a question around file reference entities.
Yeah, well, might be a help with some other areas too, but so within the file reference entity, I'm displaying the information on a data grid. So not the advanced data grid in the form.
Okay.
Advanced data grid is more like a report, but I don't want that version. And so I want to be able to, instead of showing the size just in bytes, right? I want to display that in the kilobytes or megabytes. So I want to calculate basically. And I can't do that directly in the advanced data grid from what I can see. So what would be the solution? And then I was also trying to download, I saw that there was like an external URL link, but then I couldn't figure out how to get that to map.
Okay. So first question is, are we able to change I guess the type for the size of the file to display on the data grid or advanced data grid? Correct?
Well, I can't calculate, I haven't figured out how to calculate it directly in that grid.
Yes, so that's what we're trying to figure out, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So for that case, so my assumption here is that you are displaying the list of items that you're displaying in this data grid or even advanced data grid is the file reference entity, right?
Yes.
Because that is sort of a well, not sort of, it is a back end structure.
Yes.
It's, I guess it wouldn't be very customizable for us to do that.
Right.
I think the suggestion there, uh, I I would have to bring it back, but we might be able to do a calculated field using that data. I almost wouldn't suggest it. There's always a kind of precaution to using calculated fields. And it's mostly just around, how many items are we expecting on this report, right? So like the worry is that, we have pagination going on and, there's 500 items on this report. And if we're using a calculated field, that means for those 500 items that are displaying on that report, a flow is running 500 times to, either, I guess in our case, calculate that value. What I would suggest is possibly creating a sort of a flow structure of the information that you would need for these files, including a field that's already has this calculated value. But I guess a little bit with some context to this, how big is this report going to be?
So
Is this
this
Mhm.
for this piece, it's going to be small because it's only
Okay.
the file reference entities that are associated to the case. So it's not every file reference entity out there. It's only.
Okay,
should
and we're
only be
saying like
10.
maybe like five to 10 items.
Correct. And you
Okay.
know, you have to show in a small little data grid.
Okay. So with the advanced data grid, because it is
So,
kind of
I
created.
wanna back you up a bit. I don't want the
Yep.
advanced data grid. I just want the
Oh,
regular.
you
data.
don't.
Correct.
Okay, understood. So okay, so that would be our issue. So with a data grid, we are not able to kind of use those calculated fields because it is just taking in that structure. The advanced data grid has the ability to do calculated fields. What we might be able to get away with is because we already have these list of items. I think the suggestion here might have to be a flow structure that has the included fields that you need to display. So you might need a process before this form pops up that kind of maps the information that you need for this file reference into this flow structure, including your calculated file size, your newly calculated file size.
So, okay, and which, can you point out that data structure?
So it would be a flow structure. So a flow structure is just a structure that is not saved in a database, right? So we would just be creating sort of a flow structure that holds information that we need from these file references, and then including the newly calculated field. It's almost like a placeholder structure
Okay, so
that we could use for displaying. This one, I will keep this question in mind and reach out to you. I know you work with I'm not sure if you still are, but you work with Craig, right? Or is it Colin?
I think you just have to send it to me. So I would create. All right, so I would create a flow structure. Okay.
Yep.
So that's the one I'm gonna do. Okay. All right. And then I think maybe that would then also make it to where I could get the URL so that they could click on it and download it, because I could build that appropriately as well.
Correct. So that could be a field in that structure. Also, what I have done before too is because the data grid, right? The data grid is you can have selectable items in that data grid. What I've done before is have a button for downloading depending on what item is selected in a data grid. So not having a like specific column on the data grid for a link or a URL. Just having sort of like either like a sub dialogue, right? A sub dialogue that takes in the selected item, and then in that sub dialogue flow, fetching the item that you need, and then either displaying it on like a form as like a preview, or displaying a form for a download button.
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I do
also
that
works.
Area. Yep. Okay. All right.
Great. Nancy, I will keep that. I will continue looking into the file size, but I believe creating that flow structure is the way to go.
Okay, that's fine.
It's just
I'll do that.
because it's only 5 to 10 items, like rendering, like you obviously will be mapping data into this new structure, so that will take some of the time. Then you're also calculating.
Well,
But because it's happening before the form, right, it shouldn't affect the user too much, at least on like form rendering time, right?
yeah, I mean, my other option was to write a query and say that query and then call that, because I can do whatever calculations in that I need to. So
yeah.
but I wasn't sure then, like Or-
where to store that data. Yeah, so your best option would be the flow structure.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna have another question too before the end.
No problem. Cool. VT, I see that you had a question. It's the best way to remap all report fields after you change that index to relate to a report column versus data structure field. VT, can you give me a little bit more context around this?
Yeah, so with the latest update 8.17, you have a change where you when, let's say I would like to call like a pop-up from the report, and I use report fields, and in past I needed to figure out how it relates to the data structure fields, not the report columns that I have. Now you change that. So the question is, how can we remap all those things that we had?
Check what version I'm on. So I'm on older version. This is 8.15, 17. I'm not sure what the latest version is. So the issue that you're having is, say, on a report, like in the report designer. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, if you add a calculated column that will require you to figure out which field to use, that was bound to data structure, not the report columns. Well, not this. If you want to call it like inline flow.
Oh, and okay. Let me just create one of those real quick. Inline field is what you're using.
I'm not sure if it's this one
or run flow inline field.
Yeah, this one, I guess.
So we create a flow ID.
So
then...
when you create this flow,
mm-hmm.
when you want to use some data from your report, the first column is not going to be email address. It was not that. So the first column would be something like entity ID or something, but not email address. Right now you have your email address as a first column, right? So if you in that flow, if you create like a pop-up with the first field,
looks like I'm having issues with this. First field and pick from data. And you're saying your selected flow, selected row here, right?
yeah. So the first field is not going to be your email address. That's going to be bound to the data structure that you use. Now you in 8.17 you have changed that, and now it's bound to the actual things in the report columns, and it's good.
Understood. Got it. But now we have to go back and remap everything, right?
Is there like a good way to like automatically remap that?
My assumption, I haven't ran into this, so it looks like you ran into this issue. That is going to be a pretty big remapping session. I'm thinking there currently isn't. What I would suggest, VT, is let's submit a support ticket around this, because this is, I mean, there's not, this isn't like a flow that is mapped incorrectly, right? This is a change that was made, right, on the back end. So what I would suggest is let's get a support ticket around this and see if there are possibilities around this, because Currently, I don't believe there would be a way. I believe it would require remapping.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's a great feature that all people was waiting for, but now
Yes, yeah,
they
yeah.
they all need to remap everything.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, so definitely I would suggest us creating a subparticulate around that, and we could work with that team to see if there's any possibilities around that. But my initial take is I believe remapping
Mhm.
it manually might be the solution there.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, VT.
Nancy,
Okay.
I think Nancy, if you're still here, did you respond to me?
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me, but yes, so
Yeah, we could.
there's a step that you would have to remap it, but instead of going based on a field number, you can map it to the name, so then it doesn't matter where it is.
That's interesting. Can
So
you?
it's, I think if you looked at something like get, it's under dynamic, it's like get name. If you looked for that step, Andrew,
Oh, yeah.
I think it's like get cell by name or something like that. Yeah, get cell by name,
This.
I think is what it's called. So you put that up in there and then you can
Search it and then map it to by
yeah.
the name.
So if you wanted email, you would like get that exact,
Mhm.
like the underlying name of your field and put that in your name, and then you'd map that to your then your row is just your row. And then, like I said, it doesn't matter where in the data that particular value is, it's going to use that value.
So here the row will be my header.
No, so if you put
It
that in
would be your
First row.
selected
Um,
row. And then your name. So this would be like, for example, would be like email.
Okay, that's nice to have because you can marry that to the get properties on object, so you can have all properties on object dynamically, and you can use
Yeah.
that. Cool.
So this would have been a really nice solution, before that update. Just searching them instead of kind of guessing by the row. I'm not sure if this would fix your current issue though. I believe you'd still have to do some remapping or create a whole new tile flow that utilizes this. But this is definitely helpful to know. Thank you,
Okay.
Nancy.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, VT, for that question. Nancy, it looks like you have your other question.
yes.
So question is, I need to track a reason associated to case of new state. So what is this reason? The reason for the pen. Okay. So is this, so we're using a case entity, right?
Yes.
And you're saying we have a state for pending, right?
Yes.
But we also want to save why it went to pending.
Yes.
Believe there. So this isn't a step that I've used often, but there is change state. Maybe it's not in here. Let me get out of this. flow. And let's just open up a normal flow. So there is a step. I'm not sure what is going on with this version I am on. There's a step called set state and state reason.
Okay.
So this is a step that was used for process folders. This was before case entity, so I'm not 100% sure how it would act with a case entity yet, but this might be the path to go down for that. Where do you want this data to display? So where are you going to be using this reason?
I'm gonna be using it in like analysis after the case is done. So like in the process mining and stuff like that. So if, like we can see like it went to, and then also for a calculation of like, if it goes to append for a certain reason, then for SLAs, we would take that time out. So I'd be able to know like the start and stop and the reasons for that, which I can do in the folder state. It has the start and end time. It has how much time it's in those states.
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So it's kind of just it's just an added piece of information that I need associated to that record.
So you are looking into, so that structure is the folder state. That displays, I'm not sure if there's any on this server right now, but if you go to folder state change. So this is the timing you're talking about, right?
There's, if you got it right, so here you have, if you scroll over in here, right.
Started, daytime, completed.
Right.
Yep.
There's this kind of good collection of information here. That you
But
can,
we're looking into saving that reason, right?
yeah, I mean, I'm not looking to change this,
Yeah.
but when they're, when it goes to a certain state, I want to collect the reason.
Correct. My assumption, I would have to look into this for you. My assumption is that at least I believe for that set state and state reason, that state reason's being saved somewhere. My assumption would be maybe entity description. And this is where you would have that data. I will look into that for you. What I've done in the past is in, like a normal approval chain. Usually like reasons, we're saving those as comments on that, either process folder or case entity, that the users are able to see on the back end on like a dashboard. But in your case, you want to, this is more just metadata on the actual cases moving through the different states. So let me write that question down and I will figure out if that step in there is something we could utilize with the case entity, the set state and state reason. If not, then we'll find a different way for us to save that for you.
Yeah, and when I was reading about the entity extension data structures, like it's a way to extend these data structures that are built in.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So to me, that's where it felt, but I just hadn't quite figured out how to make that work yet.
Understood. Got it. The only thing I would just throw caution at, In your scenario, I'm assuming you're not going to be doing this. You could create that extension on the case entity if needed, but try avoiding creating extensions on backend structures, native structures. Those can result to issues. I believe creating an extension on assignments can become an issue in decisions, just because assignments are used for almost everything, right? Either backend or different projects. So kind of be cautious around that. If you were to run into that, I definitely reach out to our team, see if there's any issues around it.
Okay,
But if it's a custom structure, that shouldn't be an issue.
if you can get back to me on that, I think your documentation kind of showed, explains it the other way.
Mhm.
That, that it's useful for creating the extensions on the existing data, backend data structures.
Yes, yeah. I know it works for mostly all of them, but I know there's one that you should avoid. So yeah, I will definitely have this question down and reach out back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Let's go back into our chat. Mansour, it looks like you have another question.
Yeah. So I just had a question regarding like, we have like we're exporting data from .NET, and they had like a well, they had file attachments, but everything is like a path to folder. So, and it's related to their specific unique number. And then when they click to it, it just takes to them that folder, and then they put the attachments into it. So I'm trying to bring all those attachments into decisions. I was able to get most of it done, but I'm just confused like how to bring the attachments for each record.
For
Since they're
each
all in,
record. Okay.
yeah, since they're all in path to folder. If there is, if I can just create, I know how to create the path to folder. I'm struggling with how to put that on a report as a hyperlink. So if they click on it, it takes them to that folder.
Okay, got it. So is this report, this is a report on a dashboard, or is this like a data grid on a form?
Dashboard.
Dashboard. Okay.
Yes.
So it's kind of the same scenario that Nancy's running into, but I guess one would be the dashboard versus doing it in the form. What is the expectation? What do you want to happen when they click on the item to view the attachments? Do you want a form to show up that shows the attachments to be downloaded, or are we navigating them to a different place in decisions?
We're trying to navigate them to that folder because every user in our company has a specific folder that they get, and then it is associated with that record ID. And then it should
And
open that folder. Sorry.
is this a folder to a URL, like external URL outside of decisions, or is this like a folder, like, say like a process folder in
Not a
decisions?
process folder. It's just like a regular file management folder, not in like outside the decisions. Yes.
Okay, I see. There should be a way on the report, so you could definitely use a URL, or even like a run flow that can navigate the user. Do you want this to be sort of like they click on the item in the report and it changes the URL on that tab they are currently on?
No. I
Or
just
do you want
want
to like open a form that shows, oh no, wait, it's in a folder. So
So you know,
possibly
like,
open a
mhm.
new tab that takes them to that folder.
Either or, whichever is easier. I've been trying to just do so, like, usually, for example, we have like Jira tickets. I click on the Jira ticket and it opens the Jira ticket. Something similar to that, where if I click on this like path to folder link, then it opens the folder and then I have all the
Mhm.
attachments in there. So it could be either form, anything, as long as they can access that path to folder, because every file is in that folder.
Every file's in that folder.
Mhm.
Understood. Okay, so you will most likely have to use a calculated field. What you can do, there's probably different ways of doing this. So I'll definitely reach out back to you to see if there's a more appropriate way of doing this. But on reports, there is the ability to run a flow. Kind of like what we were looking at before. Or even creating that URL. Fields.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, I think, create a URL
Mhm.
because it should just open that file explorer with that folder.
Let's see. Open URL. So what this could be is this will display a kind of hyperlink on the report. And then your URL could be something like this. This, right? This is the URL that I have in mind. And then depending on what we're displaying on that report as the source, I'm assuming folder ID should be a part of it. I don't have context on what the report is showing. But if folder ID is a part of it, right? Say it's like the process folder and you have the folder ID associated to the process folder, you could make that a variable from here. So I'm reporting on an account, so I wouldn't have that. But, for example, account ID is available here. Let's just say this is the folder ID. This will create that URL and be a hyperlink that you could click on the report. And depending on that row that is on that report, it will use that folder ID associated to it.
Gotcha. That helps a lot. And then the field that you clicked on was open calculator field before this step.
Oh, yes.
Add calculator column.
So, yep. If you go to add calculated columns at the very bottom, there is open URL inline field.
Gotcha. I was able to find it. Thank you so much. This helps a
Mhm.
lot.
VT, you said you're asking if this will open on the same tab. The only option on here is for use existing window. I'm assuming with this checked off, it creates a new tab. I would have to test this out for you. I cannot remember what the capability is here.
Yeah, that one will open then in the new tab. But
Mhm.
can you make it open in the same tab?
So like on the same report, move yeah. So I would have to check that. I don't believe so. I think the only two options are these right now. That's definitely something we could put in as a feature request. But I want to say there might be a way outside of using this open URL, actually using a run flow where it navigates you, right? And in that runs flow, you could have the navigate step, which has a little bit more options for opening or navigating to a certain page on the same tab. But I would have to check that.
I will work around for that. So anybody on the call that wants to use that, if you
On the URL. Mhm.
If you use that on the URL, you will be able to open that in the cell. So it's
Got it.
it's a small backdoor also.
No, that definitely works. Great. Thank you. Thank you for that information.
Andrew, one last thing. So I'm actually bringing this records from Excel, and I will have like a specific column for this. How would I, because it's like over 30,000 record that I'm bringing from .NET, would it be possible if I just do it in Excel and brings up as a URL, or I have to just do it? I can only do it in the report, right? For individual records.
So you're saying we're going to be creating these records from an Excel doc, right?
Yes, for the CSV.
And then they're going to be saved in decisions, right?
Yes.
Okay. I would suggest because okay, I guess I don't know what type of structure are we creating
Just a
from this
regular database structure.
database structure. And then so you might run into okay, so that means do we have on this new structure that we're going to be creating for this database structure, right? Do we have context to where that path is? Like, I guess folder ID would be the main thing we would need, right? Do we have access to that? Or is that a part of the CSV currently?
Yes, that's actually the
Okay.
request number. So each request number is
Okay,
associated with that
got it.
folder ID.
That folder ID. So what I would do, I would still go this open URL route, right? Because if you were to do it with constants, right, you have to worry about the URL, the other parts of the URL that we want to update, right? So like if we're in the dev server versus UAT versus prod, that URL is going to be slightly different for each. And then also just making it a lot easier, like in VT's suggestion where you could add different parameters to that URL, right? If it's a constant coming from that CSV, that means you have to update everything in that CSV every single time. So I would stick
also,
with
Andrew,
the,
if you do not start your URL with HTTP or HTTPS, it will use base portal URL.
correct. So with that, being able to do that dynamically, I would stick with using the open URL field.
Gotcha. And then I will just save like string on my data structure and then have it on the Excel, just like any field I can save it as a string, right? I don't have to do it as a file data or file reference because I'm not bringing actual attachments. It's a pad to folder.
Yeah, it's just that ID is that the ID is the only thing you need.
Okay,
Right.
gotcha. Perfect. So because I did try to do it as a file reference or file data, and it was just freaking out because it's like there's no file reference that I can bring from the Excel.
Oh, okay, got it.
So just
Yep.
as a string. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. That helps a lot.
Yep.
Thank you both.
Thank you, VT. Thank you, Bensar. So are there any other questions from our guest today? Great. If there aren't any, I think we could wrap up a little bit earlier. Thank you everyone for joining today. And thank you for a pretty active meeting as well. Nancy, VT, everyone. This was a fun one. Again, Nancy, I'll be reaching back to you around your set state. And VT, please feel free to send in that support ticket for your mapping issue. We'll try to help you out with that.
Okay, sure. I did have one question, but I'm pretty sure that you will not be able to answer that. How can you make a dashboard less than 1,000 pixels?
Well, can you repeat that, VT?
Yeah, can you make a dashboard less than 1,000 pixels?
Oh, like the sizing of a dashboard.
White width.
Okay, so like yeah, currently everything is mostly just expanding to your screen. That would be
But if you
Mhm.
narrow like down, if you open up like a mobile or a tablet, it's if even in the designer, when you design it less than like you can design it like 100 pixels, but in tablet mode it will still show you a scroll bar because it does not
Oh, I
go less
see.
than 1,000 pixels.
Understood. Okay. Yep. That would be another one I would suggest as a support ticket. We could help you around that. See if there's a possibility around that.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah, I think
assuming
that
you're
is
also
going to be a
using
feature request.
yeah. Are you using Chrome tools or dev tools to kind of
Oh,
test that out
it doesn't matter. I use my phone as well. If you
as well?
even
And you were
it's
into an issue. Okay.
it's weird because in designer you can set up the size, right? You can go into this dashboard and say my designer size is like
Yep.
200 pixels. But if you go to your mobile or whatever, it's you if you make it like 200 pixels, it will create a scroll bar because it's not gonna go less than. So yeah, here you can make it small, but if you
Yep.
go and render that, if you resize, it will create a scroll bar for you. It will not be sized.
Correctly on the actual. Okay. Understood. Yeah, I think we would want to that might end up being a feature request. So definitely let's get a support ticket in around that.
Okay, thanks.
Great. Awesome. Great. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Please have a great holiday season. We'll be back tomorrow for another session. Have a great day.